Alright, let's get right into it. So, when it comes down to Skarlet, the way that I use her personally is I like to rush people down with Skarlet. And rushing down with Skarlet is very interesting, especially in all of her variations. Like with Heart Pierce, you could teleport in. You could use her parry to make your opponent second guess themselves. Then you have Blooddrive, which to me is her OG rushdown variation. To me, that variation is not really meant for, rushing down. But I said, fuck that shit. I'm going to make this into a rushdown variation. At the time, there was only Heart Pierce and Blooddrive. And I didn't really like the way Heart Pierce was played. Simply because I didn't know how to use it at the time. And then I was like, man, there has to be something I could do with Blooddrive. And I figured it out. I figured out how to use it to rush people down with it. And yeah, I think Blooddrive is really good. And then her third, come on, it's pretty obvious. That variation is made for fucking rushing down. So that's the difference. Blooddrive was not made for rushing down, and her third is made for fucking rushing down, basically. But I first want to talk about Blooddrive, because there's a lot to it. In my opinion, this is the most underrated variation in Mortal Kombat 11. In all characters, this is the most underrated variation. And a lot of people, they prefer Heart Pierce and stuff like that because, it looks good on paper. And a lot of people don't use her third because they think there's problems with it because they're just scared to rush down with Skarlet and they don't have tongue. Like, well, who cares, right? But Blooddrive is a serious fucking problem. So let me explain to you why Blooddrive is a problem. So in a lot of my videos I talk about how, this ball, a lot of people use it to like do shit like that. They'll throw the ball and then they'll slow it down and then they'll do that and then they'll throw this and they get health back and stuff like that. That's good, right? But what I use it for, as you guys probably heard, I use it as a shield basically. I'll throw it and then I'll get in on my opponent, do a free mix-up, and then just throw them off completely, right? So there's that. And there's trance. Trance is extremely important. So let me break it down. So when it comes down to trance, my favorite ways of landing trance is this way. Using this as an anti-air. I'm pretty sure you guys played against me or seen my gameplay. I always anti-air like this. Like, let's make spawn just jump forward, right? Just like that, 21%. Yes, he could break out, but you gotta use it wisely. Not only that, but if you think your opponent's gonna break out, you could literally just do this and then go into that, right? So there's ways of bypassing, getting comboed for your, anti-airing your opponent, right? So there's that, right? Another way of doing it is, when I punish my opponent, this is my main punisher. Like, if I have a 7-frame punish, boom, I'm always doing this. I'm not getting my health back. Well, I am getting health back just a little bit off of this, but for the most part, do that 18%, and then it puts your opponent in a position where they literally have to guess. Another way of using it is using it raw. Yeah, I'm that guy. I wait till my opponent throws their projectiles, right? I'll either duck their projectiles if I know they're going to be negative. They usually like to jump and throw another one. And then I'll just catch them randomly, just like that. So that's another thing. And then you could also do this. Boom, boom. And then just throw the trance. Sorry, my inputs are pretty shit right now. And I'll do something like that, right? And just completely throw them off and just throw shit at their face, right? So there's that. So let's talk about once you land the trance. Here's the thing about the trance. I used to be very greedy with it. Now I'm not so much, and I'm actually like getting a better outcome for not being greedy. So what do I mean by not being greedy? What I used to do, I used to punish my opponent and then grab them all the time, right? I used to do that all the time. Or I used to do this, right? And then I'll poke them and then grab them. It's just very obvious, right? But let me show you guys some things that you can do, right? So some things that you could actually do is you do it, and then you do a short hop. So let me show you why that's actually really good. So you do this, right? Let's say you're playing against a Kung Lao. I'm just going to short hop it. I'm not even going to do it, right? Or I'm going to get hit, and I'm going to respawn down 3 all day. It bypasses it. You saw that? It bypasses it. You can like literally start mixing your opponent up with a short hop out of nowhere and just do that, and then they're just like, what the fuck, right? So every time you clip them with this, boom, you can literally throw a short hop, right? And then just clip them, and that's guaranteed. If they're down 3 whiffs, you get your short hop 9%, right? Really good, right? Another thing that you can do is you do this, right? and then you step back, and then you throw a whip, or you go into this guy. Is also really, really good. It just sees, hey, is my opponent mashing or whatever, right? Not only that, but the reason why this is really, really good, let's say if your opponent decides to jump, you can anti-air them. And you have long anti-airs with Skarlet, and just wait for their actions, and they don't do anything, whatever, boom. Throw a little fucking whip at them or whatever. So there's that. It's very, very good. And then another thing, if they try jumping, right? Let's say I'm gonna clip them, boom, do that, and then that, right? Let's say Spawn decides, oh, I'm just gonna jump over this shit. He gets hit, just like that. So you know, there's a lot of things that you could do to like really, really suppress your opponent. So here's the thing, right? Let's say I actually hit my opponent, right? Let's say my short hop lands, right? Which, believe me, people will get caught for this shit all the time. Not only that, but if once you start doing this to your opponent after you hit them with trance, they're gonna try uppercutting you or down one-ing you, and in that situation, that's when you get out of there. Instead of doing that shit, you step back, and then you can possibly get your crushing blow, right? Or you know, you can literally just bait them for it. You can literally just do this, whatever, right? Bait the down one, and then grab them, and just be patient, just like that. Just like that. And it's like, okay, is he going to be patient? Is he not going to be patient? And then once, you know, your opponent thinks that, okay, he's going to block and wait for my poke, you just short hop, and it's going to bypass their shit. It's going to bypass their grab. So there's a lot of mind games to it. So, for example, I land the trance, right? I'm going to make, Spawn forward roll, right? So check this out. I do this, right? And then I land my short hop, and I do this, he falls into it. And that is a free mix-up right there. That is a free mix-up. Not only that, but like, I could not even enhance it, right? I'll do this. Oh, sorry. Just like that. And then plus 30, 40 something, and I get a free mix-up like that. Just like that, off a trance, off of a little short hop, 9%. They tried forward rolling, boom, they're gonna get fucking hit with that. They tried jumping out of it, they're gonna possibly land on the freaking blood ball. They tried back rolling, they still have to deal with the blood ball, and I'm walking you down the entire time. You wake up with armor, you have to deal with the blood ball. All that shit, you have to deal with the blood ball. I would always recommend enhancing it just because it's much easier to do. But you know, if you're good with your timing, just throw the blood ball regularly. But not only that, the reason why I would recommend enhancing it is because what if he tries jumping out or jumping backwards or jumping forward, and you could do some really, really cool shit with it. So there's that. Little things like that, or little things like this right here. Let's say I do it right, and let's say I get my grab, right? That, look how much damage they lost just from this simple punish, right? And they get grabbed, right? And then I'll throw a blood ball, and then it's a free mix-up. You guys get what I'm saying here? You do something like this, boom, right? And then let's say I'll hit them with this, right? Do this, and then a free fucking mix-up, just like that. You use the blood ball to cover the ground, and you get a free mix-up on them. Just like that. Very, very straightforward. You mix trance, and you mix with like making your opponent guess. Like, let's say I grab my opponent, right? Let's say I grab them, I put them across the screen. They have to guess whether I'm going to throw a blood ball, a slow down blood ball, or a tongue. If they guess wrong, they're going to get hit with tongue. They have to work their way all the way back to you. And it's like when you're throwing projectiles at your opponent, what I like to do is, I'll throw a blood ball, right? And then I'll step forward. And then I'll step forward. And then I'll just keep fucking it up. And then out of nowhere, hit him with an overhead. Or hit him with a sweep. Just, instead of like, just doing this, like just being in place, what you do is, you step all the way back, right? You step forward, you dash up. You dash up, just like that. You dash up. And then you start throwing an overhead, a sweep. You could throw this shit. You could throw a tongue the next time. You could like do that and then throw a tongue, and then start walking them down. That's how you do it in this variation. You use the projectiles not to keep your opponent out. You can, but instead you're using it for them to like start taking chip and start getting hit, and for you to get the hit advantage to get a free mix-up on them, basically. Because once a lot of characters, this shit's here, it's a free fucking mix-up. It really is. A sweep, an overhead, a stagger, a grab. They have to guess what you're gonna do. A jump in, like they have to guess what you're gonna do when you throw that. And you add like, you know, this shit being a really good anti-air right here, and this right here, and then possibly getting grabbed, or possibly, you know, getting hit with a short hop. It's gonna be a long night for your opponent. Very long night if you know how to use the trance properly. My biggest advice, don't get greedy with it. Don't always go for grabs. Do little things. Step back. Make your opponent like step back, throw this, or step back, throw tongue. Because I would always recommend going to tongue. One, it's safe, and two, once they get hit with this, they can't forward roll. Like they can't forward roll. Like right here, punish. That's a punish. And then I get so much hit advantage, I literally have all the time in the world to walk up on you, and I can literally mix you up however I want. Whether it's a stagger, a grab, an overhead, a sweep. You know, once they get hit by the blood ball, I have so much hit advantage, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. Even if they block it, I have so much hit advantage. It's not even funny. So now some basic things that you can do to, you know, rush your opponent down. One is disguising this bad boy right here. I throw this move out a lot, like a ton now that they buffed it. And there's lots of ways of disguising it. One is by this. I actually got this from King Gambler. I did not come up with this. Throwing this move out once and then going to your plus frames. Really good. Another thing is forward 4 and going into it. But I think the best way of disguising it, and I've talked about this in my forward 4 video, and actually not my forward 4 video, in a different video I talked about this, is once you land your poke and you can gel into this, right? Because look at this, you're only -1, right? And then the second hit comes out in 14 frames, right? So -1, this comes out in 10. This, like, doing this into this actually comes out faster than this right here. But the problem is, they could poke out of it. They can't poke out of this right here. So, yeah, so one thing I like to do, land my poke, this, plus frames, just like that. Or then this, 1, 2, don't finish the string and go into my plus frames. So there's a lot of things that you can do to really suppress your opponent with the plus frames. So let's actually make our opponent duck, right? Do that, like, so look something like this, boom, boom, and you just start gelling them into that, right? And then another thing you do, 1, 2, right? And then you can start doing stuff like this, right? 1, 1, sorry, boom, 1, 2, boom, plus frames, right? Then boom, 1, 2, 1, grab. Or like, there's just so many things that you can do to really pressure your opponent with the plus frames. And my favorite way of doing it is landing down one, doing this, and then going into that. Or then, boom, landing this right, and then going to the mid, and then having them guess. So here's like this is something I do all the time. I have not talked about this, but this is something you could absolutely do. And that's from Skarlet's auto shimmy. When I get a guaranteed punish, I do this all the time, right? But when I don't know if my opponent's going to block it or not, I always just do 2. So now, if this lands, I have the hit advantage of 9, right? So I'll land my poke, and then I'll throw it, right? And they get hit with it. I have the hit advantage of 9. That means I can literally throw my whip or land my forward 4. So if I do this, that gels. Like, my opponent cannot poke out of that. He cannot jump out of that. He's going to get hit no matter what, right? So I land this, and I go into this. And then he has to guess. He has to guess, boom, am I going to go into a short hop? Boom, am I going to go to a grab? Boom, am I going to go complete the string, right? But another thing that you do, you condition your opponent to do that, right? Because there's nothing they can do. Once they get hit by that, there's nothing they can do. Another thing that you can do is do 1, 2, and then boom. Just like that right there. Boom. Just go into your plus frames instead. That's the thing. They could definitely